books. I'm just closing the door behind me, as you can see, because I will be by the single issues with y'all, and won't know if someone walks in. Um, so yeah, so that's why I closed the door. Joe is in the back putting away some trade-in that we had. If you saw the post I made on social media yesterday, we got a nice 500 book trade-in to add to all of our new books, which we're going to look at right now. First, we're going to look at the new trade paperbacks and collections. Before we hit the single issues, we got Thundercats collection by Declan Shalvey and Drew Moss. This is a totally new version of Thundercats. Not like the original show, not like the remade show, not like the Wildstorm series, but a totally new series with its own mythos. Really well done. It does the classic Lion-O, hey Mark, is a child in a grown-up's body, but it changes a lot of other things about the relationships of the Thundercats and who they are, and it gives Tigra a big mustache. American Psycho, Volume 1. This is a really interesting reimagining of the movie. It does make a few references to things from the book that weren't in the movie, but it also starts earlier. It's Detective Kimball, the detective. I think he was played by what's his face? I just blanked on his name. The detective in the movie. It's his life before he meets Patrick Bateman. Next up, The Last Mermaid, Book 1. Last Mermaid, really exciting book by Derek Kirkham. We've been selling for a while. It was originally done as storyboards for an animation project and then revised into a comic book and made much thicker. It's very action and motion heavy, very few words. I have a customer who's got a mermaid-obsessed daughter who he's been reading it with. It's about a mermaid in a mecha suit trying to find water in a blasted landscape. Really, really excellent. We've got Sandman, the complete Shakespeare collection. Those are all the Shakespeare stories that take place in Sandman. One assumes that the new season of Sandman will almost certainly it was already pretty sure when they put out issue 19, the Midsummer's Night issue, but now I'm positive. We've got a new volume of Mineshaft, the independent book filled with underground cartoonists. It's 25th anniversary of Mineshaft, featuring great people like Crumb, David Collier, Simone Bauman, all sorts of great stuff. And then Cauldron of Burgers we already showed. We have the new Cauldron of Burgers Quest for Materiality issues 1 through 3 here in stock. All right, and then as we head through the shop, the lovely overstuffed shop filled with books, which again we will be doing some clearance sales with coming up in November. We look at the new issues. So many new number ones, and I wanted to keep, of course, the DC All-In special that we talked about up here with all the new DC All-Ins that we actually had to consolidate. We got the new Blade, the new 2099 book, Conquest, the new Monster High Halloween special, the new X-Men book, Sentinels, Sonic the Hedgehog Annual, new Ewok series that takes place after Empire Strikes Back, new Terminator series, also by Declan Shalvey, with great art by Joe Sparrow, a brand new Toxic Avenger comic. I love that they're making his tutu very explicit. When Marvel made the Toxic Avenger, they kind of downplayed how much of his costume was his tutu melting. If you've never seen Toxic Avenger, it is a trauma film that's quite insane. A new Mad, which actually has 20 pages of new content. I think that's the first time Mad has had new content in 6 issues. And then more DC All-Ins. Green Lantern Corps is going to start soon, so they're doing a special about it. Action Comics begins the new Mark Waid, Clayton Henry run. Batman and Robin begins Fernandez on the art. Absolute Batman. We'll talk about these were last week. We talked about those. We got Life number 2, Scarlet number 5, though someone covered it with number 1. Scarlet number 5, Wolverine, new issue of Fantastic Four, which is actually starting a Doom storyline, a new Spider-Man Black Suit and Blood, and then ongoing issues, Godzilla, Gru, Johnny Quest, Marvel Zombies, Minor Arcana, Phoenix, Precious Metal, and the Ultimates. That's everything, and then these are, again, the books that we had last week. Hey, Phoenix. All right, the big book this week, the one that people walked in for who I haven't seen in a long time is, of course, Gyatman, the absolutely super thick Batman, the Chunk Crusader. Look at that. Look at that. There's even a scene in this book. I don't want to give too many spoilers, so just check that out for a second. There's even a scene in the book where someone who looks like Bruce Wayne is boxing, and you're like, oh, Bruce Wayne, and there we go. And then the real Bruce Wayne, the absolute Bruce Wayne, comes over and is like, oh, I'm big. It is very much that book. This store is located in Long Island. It's on Long Island in Huntington, New York. Batman, that is the thing that I think is so interesting. I have specifically withheld my judgment. Let's get the book. Let's actually hold the book while I talk about it. I have withheld my judgment on Absolute Batman until I read it all the way through. I've read a few pages from it. I've seen a bunch of the art from it. We ordered very heavily on it because people were getting excited for it. And as I mentioned a week ago, I think it was the beginning of last week. That is why I didn't read it. It was offered to us as PDF, and I decided I had enough orders. I knew that I was getting a bundle of extra copies because of how many we ordered. I'm not going to read it because what if I read it and I don't like it and everyone's like, oh, should I get it? And I'll be like, oh, I didn't like it. So, kept myself from reading it until this morning. And this morning I took a copy and I read it all the way through, and I will tell you numerous things. One, the art is tremendous. While the Batman's design is, like Mark says, kind of extra juicy, it is frightening how amazingly Batman this book is. One retailer I know put it very well. He said, this is Batman. It's all the things you've seen from Batman, but they're done differently, and it's a different perspective. And when he said that, I went, there's a word for that. But I didn't say anything because I wanted to see what they did before I said that. Then I read the Absolute Special. Now, if you recall, I gave spoilers for the Absolute Special on Sunday. The Absolute Special, the All-In Special, flip book of the Absolute Special, implies that the Absolute Universe is formed for a specific reason with a specific purpose. And I'm like, that is why I withheld judgment. I didn't say it's all the regular Batman stuff but reimagined, done differently. I didn't say that's an Elseworld. Those are just called Elseworlds. Because, I did kind of say it in one of my live streams, but I didn't say it regularly. Because I wanted to see how the All-In Special, the craziness of how the reality was formed, affects the Absolute books. If it's mentioned, reader, it is not mentioned. There is no mention about why this universe is different, how this universe is different. What we are being given in this book is a really fun Batman book that reimagines a lot of the things that you know to be Batman. Commissioner Gordon is mayor. Spoiler. I'm not going to give them other spoilers, but they're exactly the sort of thing that if you heard, like, oh, okay, so it's a little different. And that's what it is. That's all it is. It is a Elseworld. It is a new version of the classic Batman story reimagined to give it a different context and a different kind of parameters to operate in, while he is still a Caped Crusader fighting against crime that has riven his city in half. It's Batman. It's wonderful. It's great. It's nice Batman. A lot of people not thrilled with the current run on Batman we'll dig this one a lot. Now, again, Batman 153 just started. That's a whole new storyline for Batman in continuity, but it's still burdened with all the continuity of all the things that have happened, at least in this writer's run. In Chip Zdarsky's run, we have Failsafe. We have the multidimensional journey. We have the Penguin's death, all that stuff. Absolute Batman is not. It's a new Batman. He hasn't really been seen publicly. There's little ideas that he exists. People know he exists, but the average person doesn't exist until this issue. There's a big public coming out of Batman. And it's fine. It's great. It's fun. But it's Batman. If you don't like Batman, if you're not interested in reading a Batman comic book, you don't want this. If you like Batman, but you've read a bunch of Batman comics, they don't work for you. But this one looks like, well, sure. You like Batman and you like to see them take him out of context and do, again, an Elseworld. Sure. Absolutely what you're looking for. But you don't like Batman. This is not for people who don't like Batman. And I would say it's not for people who want what a lot of, again, I don't think DC pushed this, but a lot of retail stuff has been pushing this as a reinvented, totally new. No, it's not reinvented. It's not totally. They didn't change any. They changed facts and details, but they didn't change any core stuff. He's a guy who dresses up like a bat and fights crime. His city, he grew up in Gotham, and it went bad, and he's protecting it. I mean, it's Batman. It's very good Batman. It's very fun Batman. Definitely recommended. Scott Snyder knows Batman. As one of my few personal interactions with Scott said, it's Batman. He's Batman. He's being Batman. That's what you write. Great stuff. Definitely recommended. Keep in mind that we will not be here next Wednesday to look at new books, even if someone is watching the shop, which we're still talking about, still getting dealt with. Even if that's the case, we will not be looking at those issues on the live stream. Maybe if I really schedule things well, we'll look at some of the new issues that I'll bring with me on my trip that day when we do the live stream. And yeah, that's really all I can think about until tomorrow, when I'd like to actually discuss a topic. I'm just not sure we'll get around to it. Remember, damn it, babies, you gotta be kind.